Hey guys, we had to do some quick problem solving, but we are on chapter 12 of Tone Deaf by Olivia Rivers. Okay guys, I got a lot of energy because who doesn't want to read this book? We're on chapter 12 of Allie's perspective. I'll keep saying Olivia's, I don't know why. Let us get started. Okay. This is chapter 12. Allie's perspective starts on page 90. I'm pretty sure my legs are going to fall off before I make it to Jace. Between the scalding hot sidewalk and the rub of my poorly fitted sneakers, my feet feel like they've been through a meat grinder. 3 miles hadn't sounded so bad the night before when I made my final escape plans. Take Dad's old car, drive it to a cafe downtown, then walk a couple of miles to the stadium. Easy peasy. Plus, the cafe is right next to a bus stop, so when my dad eventually finds his missing car, he'll hopefully be convinced I hopped a bus. I'm crossing my fingers he won't search too hard for me, but I know it's useless to be optimistic. During his law enforcement career, he frequently helped people find kids who ran away from their homes. If he doesn't launch a full-out search for me, it would look suspicious and risk ruining his carefully maintained reputation. Under the heat and the sun, walking those 3 miles felt like a marathon. Somehow I made it to the stadium without my legs completely cramping up. And, as best I can tell, no one followed me. But now all I want to do is curl up in a ball and never move again. I'm dizzy from walking, my stomach is sore from throwing up my breakfast earlier, and I'm sure my face is all puffy from lack of sleep. I'm a total mess. Jace is probably going to take back his offer as soon as he sees me. I take a shuddering breath, trying to quell the thought, and push on. I've already jumped the back gate leading to the stadium like Jace instructed me to do last night. Did he have to be so vague? Come in the back way, over the fence. I'll be waiting. He didn't even mention the gate is like 8 feet tall. Thank God for Avery and all those tree climbing lessons she gave me when we were little. I heave my duffel bag into a more comfortable position. My muscles ache in protest, and I glance down at my bag. Even though I can feel it tugging at my arms, I'm still terrified I'm going to lose it. It's all I have. I didn't want to bring more than one bag in case someone got suspicious and stopped me on my walk over here. What I've been able to fit in the duffel isn't nearly enough to last me 4 months, but it will have to do. Besides, I have the money I've been saving for the past few years, $828.37. Not much, but at least it's something. Plus, I have Jace's check stuffed in the bottom of the bag. I still haven't cashed it yet. Okay, let us just point out that she's been saving money for the past few years, $28.37, and in one night she made $8,000 with Jace. I just think it's funny, and also kind of sad. Anyway, plus I have Jace's check from the bottom, stuffed in the bottom of the bag. I haven't cashed it yet. He's already doing enough for me at the moment, but it's my backup plan just in case Jace loses interest in helping me. Just a few hundred yards to go, I can see a mass of RVs and trailers parked in the distance, heat shimmering around their tires, people scurrying around as they load up equipment. I don't mean to glare at you guys, but A drop of sweat falls into my eyes, and I adjust my grip on the bag so I can strap it away. Something nudges my shoulder. I yelp and whirl around, my heart pounding overtime, my fists clenched into a tight ball. Just as I'm about to start sprinting toward the RVs, my vision clears and I see Jace. He looks exhausted, like he got as much sleep as I did. But he's standing beside me, a hesitant smile on his lips and holding out a hand. For a moment I think he wants me to take it, but then I realize he's offering to carry the duffel bag. I shake my head and grip it tighter. I don't need to be more in his debt. He rolls his eyes and tugs it out of my grip after tossing it onto his shoulder. Then he points to the RVs in the distance and signs, "Come on, we're leaving earlier than I thought. We need to get back." I shuffle my feet a little and narrow my eyes. He didn't have to just grab the duffel like that. How am I going to get in your RV without anyone seeing? Easy, he replies. My RV is on the edge of the group. The entrance is facing the back. No one will see you. And the driver, I ask? Arrow and I trade off, he says. We're the only ones who drive. I don't like people in my home, so only Arrow will see you. My eyes grow wide and I swallow hard, trying to gulp back my panic. He told Arrow about me? Jay smiles apologetically. All of the band knows about you. We don't keep secret. But it's just the four of us who know. No one else will ever find out. I nod, my stomach feels all tight again. I take a step away from Jace, hoping I don't puke on his shoes. He gestures toward the RVs again. Let's go. I trail after him, trying not to scowl at the pavement beneath my feet. I learned to hate walking on the stuff. It soaks up all vibrations and leaves me clueless to approaching footsteps. Okay, I don't know if you guys have, heard of Avatar or Avatar Last Airbender, but she kind of reminds me of Toph sometimes with, how she thinks about vibrations and stuff. It soaks up vibrations and leaves me clueless to approaching footsteps, which is exactly what I don't want right now. Most of the Tone Deaf's crew is a safe distance away, hopping in and out of trailers and giving thumbs up as they do last-minute checks out on vehicles. But these people are still strangers, and still a potential threat to my escape attempt, and my heart pounds frantically. Surprisingly, getting into the RV is just as easy as Jace said it would be. Jace holds open the door for me and I slip right in, no one the wiser. The RV is dark with all of its shades pulled down, and my stomach twists wildly as I step inside. Maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I'm just getting myself into even more trouble. Maybe a movement in the corner of my eye cuts into my panic thoughts. I whirl toward the couch where I spot the moving object, a dog, a huge mutt that looks like a cross between a pit bull and a Grim Reaper. I stumble back. Jace lets the door close, cutting off the light for a long moment, then he flicks a switch. The overhead lights illuminate the RV. I blink against the sudden brightness and take another step away from the dog. The massive pit bull yawns, displaying 2 rows of glistening white teeth. Then it lazily stretches and jumps down from the couch, landing with a thud that shakes the floor. It trots over to Jace. This is Cuddle, he says, nodding toward the dog. I take a few more steps back and frown at his words, sure I read his lips wrong. What? He quickly fingerspells the name for me. Cuddles. Then he sighs at my confused expression and says, Killer named her. He likes to think he's funny. Jace reaches down and scratches the dog's head. As tall as he is, he doesn't have to bend over to reach her, and Cuddles wags her tail of a stump of a tail and opens her mouth. I cringe, but all she does is gently lick his hand. Jace gives her one more pant, then glances over at me. I try to smile and pretend I'm not scared, but my lips are frozen, and my face feels cold and clammy despite the heat outside. You don't like dogs? Jace signs. Not big ones. I'll go put her away for a while, he says, grabbing her collar. You guys can get acquainted later, I guess. Jace walks away with Cuddles, the giant mutt, trailing along obediently after him. Her paw steps send vibrations through the thin flooring of the RV, and I shudder, backing away. Jace heads down the RV's small hallway into a room that I assume is his bedroom. I stand there anxiously tapping my foot and taking in my surroundings. I've never been in an RV before. We have always traveled by plane when I was younger, but I imagine this RV is about as luxurious as they come. It's way larger on the inside than I expected. From here I can see a bathroom, a small living area with an office space tacked next to it, and an entrance to a kitchen. A short hall leads towards the back of the RV, where Jace has just disappeared to. The furniture looks like it was all plucked straight from a magazine, sharp and modern designs and fabrics in dramatic shades of blue. I think it should look stylish, but knowing that a 19-year-old guy lives in here, it just gives the RV a hotel vibe, like it's a home that's never really been lived in. The only personalized touches are the posters of bands on the pastel blue walls. I read the titles one by one. Fall Out Boy, Owl Nation, Forever the Sickest Kids. There are at least 5 more littering the walls, and I try not to look too surprised as I trail a finger over glossy paper of the nearest one. Who would have guessed rock stars could get all fanatic about other bands? I follow the posters into the living area, which has 2 couches facing each other. and a giant flat-screen TV mounted on the wall. There's a small mound of pillows and blankets on one of the couches, and I practically hear it calling to me. I glance down the hall where Jace disappeared. I don't want to look like I'm getting comfortable too quickly, but my feet are seriously about to drop off. I shake my head, deciding I don't care what he thinks, and fall back into the pile of blankets. There's a thrashing movement from under me, and I shriek, the sound scraping my throat as it escapes. Jumping off the couch, I whirl around. What the heck is under there? The blankets? Another dog? Dang it, I hope I didn't squish anything. I'm sorry, that's just too funny. The blankets flop off and staring back up at me as the bloodshot eyes... The blankets flop back and staring up at me with bloodshot eyes is a young guy who I instantly recognized as a member of Tone Deaf. His name is Killer, I think. He was the one playing the keyboard at their concert the other night. Avery's always blabbing about how adorable Killer is, but he doesn't look like that right now. He's squinting at me with an expression that screams of pain. I stumble back, gasping for breath, and try to assess the damage. Killer takes one look at me and then groans and lets his head drop back into the pillows. He glares through his half-closed eyes and doesn't say anything, which makes the whole thing more awkward, but he doesn't seem to be in distress, so that's good, right? Darling, he says, his lips moving in a soft way that tells me he has a British accent. It's generally considered an impolite to sit on someone with a hangover. Screaming is also rather rude. I stutter out a couple of incomprehensible words, unsure how to reply, then I feel a hand tap my shoulder. It's warm and gentle, and I immediately recognize the touch as Jace's. I mumble an apology as I turn to him. Jace pulls away his hand and signs, It's going to be hard to hide you if you scream every time you see one of the band. Sorry, I sign lamely. I'm a little on edge. Yeah, I can tell. He glances over to the guy on the couch who has taken the last few moments to fling the blanket back over his head. That's Killer, Jace says to me, and then he fingerspells the strange name to make sure I get it. I nod and hesitantly say out loud, Hi. Killer fishes a hand out of the blankets and gives me a limp wave. Jace rolls his eyes. Killer had a little too much to drink last night. You'll have to excuse him. He's a bit of a lightweight. Killer's hand thrashes around like he's trying to find someone to smack, but Jace expertly backs away and Killer withdraws back under the blankets. I smile a little, not bothering to hide it. Jace gestures over to the other couch. You can sit over here. I nod and obey. Sitting on the cushion right across from Killer, I force in a shuddering breath and do my best to actually relax. But I can't get my muscles to loosen, and my hands are shaking a little. I fist them into balls to try to hide their shaking, and then quickly unclench them, realizing that it's just making me look even more like a nervous wreck. Jay stands between the couches, a safe distance between both me and Killer. I wait for him to take a seat on one of them, but he just stays there, his arms crossed over his chest. He's wearing a thin black shirt, which does a nice job of showing off his defined muscles, and a ripped pair of dark skinny jeans. Usually I don't like it when guys wear skinny jeans, but Jace pulls them off. Heck, he could wear a kilt and pull it off. He shuffles his feet and his throat bobs as he clears it. So, do you want a drink or something? I flinch at the words. Me? Drink? After all the times I've been punched by a drunk? I don't drink. Jace grimaces a little. I'm not talking about alcohol. I would not offer you alcohol. Then he looks at me expectantly, raising one eyebrow. It always annoys me when people do that. I mean, if you're going to raise one eyebrow, why not go all in and raise them both? People always look awkward when they just raise one. Except for Jace. He doesn't look awkward at all. Look at all awkward. This seems to be a recurring theme with him. He can get away with anything. Dirty vans, quirked eyebrows, overactive middle fingers, and still look hot. My God, I'm starting to sound like Avery. Well, he signs, what do you want? I blush deeper and deeper until I'm pretty sure my face looks like a lobster's. That's right, he's been waiting for me to tell him what I want to drink. Dang, I really need some sleep. When I wake up, maybe I'll actually be able to carry a non-awkward conversation. Water, I replied. Please. He walks into the adjoining kitchen without saying anything else, and my heart starts pounding again, making my head ache from the racing pulse. Was that the right thing to do? Should I have insisted on getting my own water instead of having Jace get it? I mean, he's a celebrity. I don't think he usually spends his time fetching water for girls, especially not for sweaty, shaking, sunburned girls. Killer flops the blankets off his face and squints at me. Darling, if you're going to tag along, you need to learn the Jace rules. I frown. The Jace rules? He holds up a hand and starts counting them off. 1. Don't lie while you're near him. 2. Don't touch him. 3. Don't bring anything with carbs or refined sugar into his offie. 4. Don't talk about his feelings. And 5. Don't even mention drugs or alcohol. I'm pretty sure rock stars are supposed to want all of those things. Well, maybe not the carbs. But still, it seems like Jace missed the memo that famous musicians are supposed to live on edge. Not that I'm complaining. If his rules mean that I don't have to put up with anyone drunk, I'll gladly follow along. I nod uncertainly to Killer. But aren't you kind of completely hungover? Killer replies, rubbing his temples with a wince. Yeah, about that. Jace will make exceptions to his rules for the band because we're stubborn and he trusts us not to screw him over. But you'd do best to just follow them. If someone outside of the band annoys Jace, he has no problem shoving them out of his life. Killer rolls his eyes. He's a bit finicky. Even though Killer doesn't directly say it, I get the message. If I piss off Jace too badly, he'll just tell me to leave, and my chance of freedom will disappear. My stomach starts churning again at the thought. I glance to the small kitchen. Jace stands at the counter, gripping the edge of the granite like his life depends on it. But he's not moving and seems to just be staring out the window. I don't stick around to find out what he's looking at. Instead, I head back toward the entrance of the RV, looking for the bathroom I spotted earlier. I want a few moments alone to splash some water on my face and clear my thoughts. As I pass by the RV's entrance, I spot my duffel where Jace dropped it on the floor. I pick it up and stare at the door uncertainly. If I leave now, I could probably get back to my house before my dad realizes I ever left. I could go back home to where things are miserable but at least predictable. As soon as he figures out I've run away, I really don't know what my dad will do. He'll try to get me back, that's for sure. He has so little control left in his life, and he's not going to give up the power he has over me without a fight. But I have no idea what lengths he'll take to get me back, and I'm scared to find out. I take a deep breath and then head into the bathroom. No, I'm not going to give up this opportunity Jace is offering. Although, judging by how awkward and uncertain he's acting this morning, I'm afraid his pity for me isn't going to last very long. Musical background or not, I don't fit in here. Jace's whole life revolves around playing music and being in the spotlight, whereas my only goal is to stay quiet and hidden. I open my bag, touching the cash, and check at the bottom, just to reassure myself they're there. All I need is to get away from the city to a place where I can't be recognized, and then I can safely branch off from Jace. That way, I won't have to keep depending on his pity, and I can make sure he won't be harmed by anything my dad does. I'll just wait a few days. That's all the time I need to spend with Jace. Then I can travel the rest of the way to New York and on my own. Alright. That is the end of chapter 12 from Allie's perspective. We ended on page 100, which is just perfect. And so we'll be starting back up on page 101 from Jace's perspective, and it'll be chapter 13. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you were able to differentiate from the voices. I know it's a little hard. I'm kind of bad at it. But the main point is to get the story across. So again, that was Tone Deaf by Olivia Rivers. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.